the best that you can do, the very best that you are, realistically able to do, is be the best man that you can be. That's all you can do. That's the very best that you can do in the situation. So if becoming the best man that you can be fixes the situation, awesome, great, you got your marriage back. If ultimately it still falls short, then you did your best, and that's all that you can do. I want to make a video on to kind of talk to men that are struggling like through the early stages of like a divorce, or maybe you're separated and it's looking like it's trending towards divorce. So a lot of men in this situation chase their wives because they feel like, hey, I got so many men say they're blindsided. It's actually like a cliche, and I don't mean to be insensitive, but it's so many men, how the situation goes is that the man, senses that there's distance. Maybe he's asking for physical affection, he's not getting it, even back rubs or kisses or hugs. It's just gone. And so the guy has this idea in his head, basically is living in denial that there's something magical that's going to happen down the line, where there's a time where things, the conditions of the marriage get better, maybe economic conditions, or the kids go off, or things just get easier, so therefore the couple comes back together. And unfortunately, marriages don't work that way. So it's just kind of men are in a state of denial that the separation and the distance is going to magically somehow start to come back together. If there's distance, I put it on the men. I think that's a time where you need to really kind of wake up and get out of that state of denial and realize that things are really bad and things are not going to get better by themselves, and you have to be proactive about driving that situation. But to the point where a woman approaches you and says, hey, look, I want a divorce, so many men will just come out and say, hey, I was blindsided by this. I thought we had more time, or I thought that she would give me a cue that we need to go to marriage counseling, and then we would fix this. And now she's not even going to try to fix it. So when men get into this state, it's super common, and they immediately feel a sense of betrayal. They say, we were going to get married, we got married and we promised each other till death do us part. Well, we're still breathing, right? So you're basically breaking that promise to me. Unfortunately, my experience in talking to guys over the years, this obligation, putting that on a woman, saying, well, hey, you promised me this and you promised me that, and now you're a liar and you're basically betraying me by not wanting to work on it. Putting an obligation on somebody, it's not really effective, and the woman doesn't really listen to it. And maybe she feels guilty, or maybe she doesn't. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be a big motivator for her to say, oh, you're totally right. I promised till death do us part, and I'm going to do a 180 tomorrow. At the end of the day, the woman is in the state that she's in because she's not felt loved and she hasn't felt cared for a long time. And so that can't just be wiped away with telling her, well, you're obligated to work on this with me. So I've seen that time and time again. But at the same time, I understand where men are coming from, because I think a lot more men are willing to stand on that principle. Now, again, I don't want to say, men are better than women, or women are better than men. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. I'm just trying to be real and tell you guys what realistically happens often. In these situations, a lot of times when a man is blindsided, which is the case often, he will start going into overdrive, and he won't accept the situation for what it is. If she served you her divorce papers or is talking about the D word, now all of a sudden guys will say, they'll kick it into overdrive and they'll try to become super husband overnight. So then they'll try to buy the woman flowers and give her, shower her with love bombing and shower her with affection, talk about how he's going to be a better man, and how if she'll only just stay, if she'll only just work with him, then this and this is going to happen. And she's basically trying to promise his way out of this divorce because he's in fear for his life. This is going to rip his life in half, and the man is just kind of, what happens is that the women typically leave the man 70 to 90% of the time. So there's a huge margin of women leaving men. And what happens is the women have been thinking about the divorce for a long time. They just haven't brought it up to the guy. And so that's another reason why men feel betrayed. But what happens is women have been thinking for 6 months or maybe a year about getting a divorce and what their life is going to look like after the divorce. They're not in the headspace of fixing the marriage anymore. And so again, men feel super betrayed, but that's kind of is what it is. The woman is ready to move on. And so now all of a sudden the guy is playing catch up, and he's thinking, okay, this woman's an idiot because doesn't she realize that we're only going to get to see the kids, half the time? Or is she planning on taking the kids? There goes my retirement account. There goes all of our future plans. And the man is just like, it's a catastrophe. It's like a meteor is hitting the guy's life, and he's looking at this woman of like, you're causing this by not wanting to work with me. So he gets really frustrated with her, and there's a ton of resentment. And then he also wants to chase her and say like, hey, basically, kind of, there's a lot of feelings of, hey, you're being really dumb. Like, don't you understand that this is going to break our lives in half? And so a lot of emotions, as you can tell, a lot of emotions come out of these situations, but a lot of those emotions really aren't effective or helpful in basically getting the woman to stay. So being around the men's support group space for a long time, what I've seen, which is quite interesting and somewhat inspiring, is a lot of men get to the point where they struggle. They try to put obligation on their wife, or they try to plead with her, they try to negotiate, they try to reason with her, and none of it works. And they try to chase her, they try to go over the top being the super husband. It doesn't work. So what a lot of men reside themselves to, which is the advice I want to give and share, is a lot of men say, look, I can't control her. I can't control what she does. And she's her own person. She's come to the conclusion that she's come to. I don't agree with them. I think, for a lot of these reasons, but she is her own person, and I can't. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So that's kind of what it is. Secondly, I can't control her, but I can control me. And you know what? A lot of men kind of settle on and conclude on is, I can only control what I do, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to become the best man that I can be. And I'm going to work on myself, and a lot of the things that my wife's been telling me for the last 15 years that I've been ignoring, and I realize now is like really, really fucking important. I'm going to start focusing on that. I'm going to go to therapy, and I'm going to start talking about these things. Oh my God, I'm somebody that doesn't validate people's emotions. I'm somebody that doesn't make people feel emotionally safe. I'm somebody that doesn't, I struggle with having my wife feel heard and listened to, like these types of things. They're going to go off and they're going to go to therapy, and they're going to go to men's support groups and get support in understanding themselves and making large improvements. But here's the thing: the men will say, I'm going to become the best version of myself, best man that I can be, regardless of what the outcome is. And I think that adds a lot of clarity, and it adds a lot of like a sigh of just acceptance. When men are in a divorce situation, you just don't want to accept it. It's like this kind of like nagging thing on the back of your neck that just won't relent, and you just want to keep scraping at it and try to rip it off, but it doesn't rip off, and effectively you feel like you're being killed. You feel like you're being tortured to death. So divorce is a messy thing. Divorce is an ugly thing. For me, I want to tell men out there, once you accept that it's happening, and you say, this is a likely outcome, and this is likely going to happen, and if I chase her, it's probably not going to be effective. If I tell her, if I argue with her, it's probably not going to be effective. The damage has been done. It's been gradually over time, and it's done. I can't take back the past, but what I can do, I can't control her and what she decides, but what I can do is I can start making real change in my life and become the best man that I can be. And a loving man, an integrated man, strong man. And so if that's enough to where she sees the action and she ultimately says, hey, this guy's actually making some inroads and he gets it, and maybe I do want to give him a second chance, then that's great. But if she doesn't, then it's not her actions are not, your actions are not going to be dependent on what she's doing. And that's the whole point. You accept what the situation is, and you say, because what it is I want to finish with this statement. The best that you can do, the very best that you are, realistically able to do, is be the best man that you can be. That's all you can do. That's the very best that you can do in the situation. So if becoming the best man that you can be fixes the situation, awesome, great, you got your marriage back. If ultimately it still falls short, then you did your best, and that's all that you can do. So I think that's a very important message, and I've seen so many men arrive at that conclusion, and I just want to share that because it's to a degree it's empowering, and it takes a lot of the it takes a lot of the suffering and the anxiety out of the situation. at the end of the day, if you can look at this situation and said, I did my very best, and maybe it was good enough or maybe it wasn't, you can say, well, you can come to accept it. I did my best, and that's all I could ever do. So anyways, thank you so much for listening. If you're a man going through a divorce, my heart goes out to you. If you're a woman going through a divorce, my heart goes out to you. Divorce is a very difficult thing to navigate, and just on so many different levels. And I really encourage people to go increase your support group, go to therapy, go to connect with men's support groups, things like that. It will help. You're in a very grave situation, a very life-altering situation, and you need help, and you need support. That'll help you. So anyways, if you like this content, please like and subscribe, and I'd love to hear comments down below. So thanks. See you in the next one.